All right, welcome back everybody for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at the music biz, getting back to basics with Music Business 101. And we're focusing on South Africa. We've got a whole bunch of websites and articles here all about the South African music scene. We're going to unpack it all. Royalties, licensing, all the stuff that makes the music world go around.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And South Africa, let me tell you, they're doing some really cool things. I mean, they've got their own version of the Grammys. And you know who else is paying attention? TikTok. TikTok is partnering up with local music organizations over there. We're going to get into all that and more, so stick with us. Okay, first up, let's talk about RISA, the recording industry of South Africa. Now, if you're just starting out in the music biz, think of RISA as like the VIP club for record labels and producers in South Africa.
Yeah, they've got a lot of influence. They're the ones behind the official music charts, the South African Music Awards, which are like their Grammys. Basically, they're shaping the whole music industry over there.
That's right. And here's a fun fact. RISA is recognized by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry. That's a big deal, because it gives South African artists a connection to the global music scene. So now you might be wondering, okay, how do artists in South Africa actually make money from their music? Well, that's where royalties come in. And South Africa's got a system to make sure everyone gets their fair share.
Yeah, you've got different types of royalties in South Africa. You've got performing rights, mechanical rights, and needle time rights. And each one is like a guardian, making sure that every single person who contributed to a song gets paid. From the songwriter to the performer, even the studio engineer, when their music is played or reproduced or broadcast.
So let's say your song is playing on the radio.
Yeah.
In a taxi driving through Cape Town. That's where performing rights kick in. They're collected by an organization called SAMRO. SAMRO makes sure those radio stations are paying for the right to play that music, and that money goes back to the people who created it.
And then you have mechanical rights, managed by Capasso. Those are all about reproduction. So anytime your song is put on a CD or downloaded, or even used as a ringtone, Capasso steps in to collect licensing fees to make sure the composers and publishers get their cut.
It's like a well-oiled machine, making sure every step of the music's journey is accounted for, from the moment it's created to when someone listens to it. Now let's talk about Capasso for a minute. Their website is all about efficiency and excellence, and that means a smoother experience for both artists and the people who want to use their music.
Yeah, Capasso basically streamlines the whole process. They make it easy for businesses to get the licenses they need to use music legally, and at the same time, they make sure composers and publishers get paid. Everyone wins.
All right, so we've talked about performing rights and mechanical rights. Now let's talk about needle time rights. These are handled by SAMPRA, and they're all about making sure the performers and recording artists get paid. The people who actually bring the music to life. When the music is played on the radio or in public.
Right, like without the singers and the musicians and the studio engineers and the producers, that song would just be notes on a page. SAMPRO makes sure those talented people get compensated when their recordings are played.
It's all about teamwork. Everyone plays their part. And SAMPRO makes sure everyone gets their share of the recognition and the royalties. Okay, now, let's take a look at SAMPRO's annual report. This is where it gets really interesting, because it gives us a snapshot of the South African music scene.
And it's a pretty vibrant scene. Last year, SAMRO collected over $593 million in licensing revenue. That shows you how much South Africans love their music.
Wow.
And get this, they distributed almost $552 million of that back to their members, the composers, songwriters, and publishers.
That's amazing. And they're doing even more than that. SAMRO's really pushing for copyright protection, so artists can be sure their work is valued and protected. They're also supporting over 24,000 members. That's a lot of talented people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's imagine you're a musician in South Africa. You've poured your heart and soul into your music, and you're ready to share it with the world. What do you do next?
Well, that's where organizations like SAMRO and Capasso come in. Registering with them is super important. Not only does it protect your work and make sure you get paid, but it also connects you with a supportive community and gives you access to resources that can help you succeed.
And the best part is, they support all kinds of music creators. Whether you're a composer, a lyricist, a publisher, they've got your back.
Okay, let's talk about music licensing for a minute. I know it might not sound as exciting as performing on stage, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, music licensing is super important. It basically means that if you want to use music publicly, whether you're a radio station or a restaurant or even a taxi playing music, you need to get permission and pay for it.
And you wouldn't believe how many businesses need licenses. It shows you how much music is a part of everyday life in South Africa. You can't escape the rhythm.
Speaking of reaching a wider audience, remember we mentioned TikTok partnering with Samro and Capasso? This is where it gets really cool.
Yeah, that partnership is huge. It's like opening up a whole new world for South African artists, connecting them with millions of potential fans around the world.
Exactly. It's like a launch pad for South African music, taking it global. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about RISA, the organization that represents South African music. And we've broken down the world of royalties, performing rights, mechanical rights, needle time rights. We've also talked about Samro and Capasso, and how they're supporting music creators in South Africa. But there's even more to explore.
Yeah.
Next time, we're going to dive into some of the challenges the South African music industry is facing, things like music piracy.
And we'll also look at some of the ways people are working to support South African musicians, helping them achieve their dreams.
It's going to be good.
Definitely. So stay tuned.
It's great to see how South Africa supports their musicians, but, every industry has its challenges. And one of the biggest for music creators is piracy. Yeah, it's a global problem for sure, and South Africa is no exception. Samro's been really vocal about how piracy hurts musicians. They've got a whole section on their website about it. They're definitely taking it seriously.
As they should. I mean, when people download music illegally, they're taking money from the artists who created it. It's not just about the lost revenue either. It's about respecting the value of music. And when artists don't get paid for their work, it's harder for them to keep making music.
It's like going to a restaurant, eating a meal, and then just walking out without paying. Not cool. But the good news is, Samro's not just fighting piracy. They're also supporting their members in other ways, like with their Music Creation Support Fund. They give micro grants to musicians to help with their creative projects.
Yeah, that's a great program. It's not just about giving money away. It's about investing in the future of South African music, giving talented artists the resources they need to make their ideas a reality.
It's like planting seeds for the future.
Yeah.
And they've got other programs too, like one for undocumented works, because sometimes royalties don't reach the right people.
Right? Because of gaps in the system. It's really great that they're so committed to fairness and transparency. They have a way for musicians to claim royalties for works that weren't properly documented, making sure everyone gets paid what they deserve.
Speaking of fair compensation, let's not forget about Sampra. They handle needle time rights, making sure the performers and recording artists get paid, the people who bring the music to life.
Absolutely. It's easy to forget about the performers sometimes, but without them, without the singers and musicians and producers, those songs wouldn't exist.
Exactly. It's a team effort. And Sampra is like the coach, making sure all the players get their share. So, we've talked a lot about royalties and how South Africa has built a system that benefits everyone in the music industry. Organizations like RISA, Samro, Capasso, and Sampra, they're not just protecting the rights of music creators, they're actively supporting them too. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to think about. With the digital world changing so fast, what new opportunities and challenges do you think are coming for the South African music industry? And what can we do to make sure South African music keeps thriving?
That's a good question. The music industry never stands still. For musicians, it's important to keep up with new technology, to understand how digital distribution works, and to connect with fans.
And for music lovers, we can support artists by streaming and buying music legally, going to their shows, and telling our friends about the music we love.
It's all about working together to make sure South African music stays strong.
That's a great point. All right, that's it for our deep dive into the South African music scene. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the websites we talked about. Keep listening to great music, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Don't forget, there's so much more to learn.
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface.
You can find out how to become a member of Samro or Capasso. You can learn more about the South African Music Awards, or even figure out how to get a music license for your business.
All that information is out there waiting for you, so go ahead and dive in. The South African music scene is full of amazing talent. It's really inspiring. We can't wait to see what they do next. Until then, keep listening to great music.
And keep learning.
That's it for our deep dive into the South African music scene. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.